You ready, Tim?
You're live.
Okay, so I will call to order this special meeting of the Village of Shrewsbury Board of Trustees, February the 7th. This is primarily a budget working session. All of the village board members are present. I have one change to the agenda, which is a need for an executive session.
Okay.
At the end of the meeting. Other than that, are there any other additions or deletions from the agenda? Okay, hearing none, then item number 3 on the agenda is Cassandra Broadwell from the Ulysses Philomathic Library has asked to speak to the board and meet all of us and have us meet her if we don't know her already. And so Cassandra, welcome.
Thank you. I just mostly wanted to say hello and get in front of everybody as the new face of the library. I'm Cassandra Broadwell. I'm the library director down the street. Rachel is here on behalf of the library. She's joined our board. I want to thank you for supporting the library so strongly over the years, and we really appreciate it. We had a big year. Toward the beginning of the year in 2018, the entire building was converted to LED energy and all LED lighting on the buildings and grounds. That was a major project, and we funded half of that through a New York State construction grant and half through our own fundraising efforts. And that was a serious victory for the library board. The library board is very interested in sustainability and getting our building experience possible. Another very popular thing this year was our New York State park passes we started loading. The New York State parks changed from their window decal to a more like credit card looking pass system. And I went down and talked to the office and they were happy to have libraries buy them and load them. And that was overwhelming this summer. And I shared that information with all the other libraries in the system. And several other libraries bought them also. It started a new trend of accessibility to all our lovely parks in the region. That's very popular. I'm gonna look to buy more this summer. Fine free, we know that starting in 2017, we stopped charging overdue fines at the library, which has been an enormous success. We've had several people come in and tell us personally what a game changer it was in their life. I mean, some people don't think much about 20 cents per book, but when you have a stack of 30 picture books, 20 cents a day, it really builds up, especially if you don't have reliable transportation. And now TCPL to the south is now fine-free, they announced this week, which is great. And then all the libraries in the north and Seneca County are now also fine-free. So Never Itself really got us on the front end of that trend, and it's been really popular and really opened up access to the library for everyone that needs it. And I just wanted to ask if anybody had any questions about the library, about our funding, what we're doing. One thing that is coming up next year is the 2020 census. For the first time, I'm sure you guys have talked about, it's going to be primarily asked to do it online. Libraries across the country are going to be stepping up to assist with that because as access for technology, we will catch the people that fall through the cracks and have low computer skills. I'm headed to Albany at the end of the month to talk with legislators about more funding for help with the census next year. I think the New York Library Association requested about $50 million for support, and the first draft of the budget had $0 in support for libraries on the census. And I would really love to collaborate with the village and the town to make sure that we can get as accurate a count as possible, because that's something we all are invested in, making sure we have accurate census counts. Something we haven't strengthened at the library is volunteers. So my first draft plan is to actually get our volunteers trained up to help people do the census, and then hopefully do pop-ups in the community at different locations like this to help people make appointments to do the census if they have a computer. And that's me in a nutshell. Does anybody have any questions about the library?
We heard about what you've done. Is there anything else you need?
Oh my gosh, what a question. We are looking at the building, it's getting older. I need to find money to recarpet it this year. I think it's coming up in the children's section. Our internet access is starting to feel the strain. I'm gonna look into stronger service next year. It's mostly the building we're gonna be focusing on improving in the next few years.
Good. Anything else for Cassandra? I appreciate you taking the time. I know that we bumped into each other a couple times, but I appreciate that you came and let the board know where you stand. And
Thank you.
we certainly support the library and everything that you are able to do there with limited resources.
Do the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that was easy.
I can stick around.
Come on, you don't-
Super audience.
She'll be back for the representative session.
So speaking of limited resources, item number 4 is the budget working session. The regular sized piece of paper in front of you, the black and white sheet with the numbers on it, is in the Dropbox in living color if you're interested. I just wanted to throw this out there. I'm not expecting anyone from the public to be here. And if anyone does watch, Deb will recall fondly that once or twice in the last decade, we've had these kind of moments where we have to, can you believe that?
Yeah.
Budgets are very dry and numbers can be very dry, but we have, and I think this year is going to be one of those times where every once in a while we as a board have to decide philosophically, what are we committed to in terms of what the village provides in terms of services. And I just went back and looked at how assessments have increased over time, and you can see kind of in the middle, the assessments have grown at roughly 2% as an annual average, and everyone gets very upset in 2017 when their assessment goes up a lot, and understandably so, but over time it averages out to about a 2% annual rate of increase. Most of that, as we well know, is not from new properties coming in, it's simply the growth and value of existing property. And over to the left, we see our average increase in the levy, which is more closely tied to our budget. It's close to 6%. Now, half of that 6%, 3% is payroll. We try to give 2 to 3% raises every year. The other 3% is due to the growth in service, which is tied to payroll, but in terms of the scope of the services, primarily EMS. But this year we've got an increase in our police budget because of staffing changes and whatnot. So it doesn't take a mathematician to understand that if your quote revenue base is growing by 2%, but your expenditure outflow is growing by 6%, there's an end game to that somewhere. It may not be for 10 years, maybe 20, but there's certainly an end game. Now, to my way of thinking, there's only one of 3 things that we can choose to do. There isn't a magic wand we can wave to dramatically increase the village-wide total assessment. So that leaves the other 2, which is we either stop giving employees raises or we start to cut services. Or we're saying that we're willing to see a continued year-over-year increase in the village tax levy and tax rate indefinitely until some other board decides that they are now willing to stop giving raises, cut services, or magically the village-wide total assessment grows significantly. So it's not really meant to, there's no decision to be made based off of that, except we now enter into looking at the budget with that as the jovial backdrop.
So as an aside, do you know what the assessment is, taxable?
It is. That last number is actually our current, what we're working with this year, 133,867,269.
But that includes like non-taxable properties, right?
That's the base, that's the number we're gonna use. Last year was 131,486.
Wasn't last year 127? I thought the 131 number was like the total assessment and then the taxable was.
2 years ago, we thought it was 126 and there was an adjustment made that it came in at 130. Last year's went up to 131 and a half, and this year's 133, almost 134.
Okay, so this year we have an increase in police.
Yep.
We added a deputy clerk.
Yep.
We added Jared, the DPW went up one. Who else? On the EMS fire side, we didn't do any net adds, did we?
No.
So I mean, on the EMS side, I added a file, but we didn't add anything to the budget, but we did spend as if we had. So that's something
Got it.
we'll have to grapple with. Yeah, we're substantially over budget for the last year, assuming that the trends hold.
I'm looking at fire and reworking some of that, and we're not in line to eventually get back to replacing the trucks in the same way we wanted. So we're looking at probably staggering that up over time as well.
And just so the water and sewer, we haven't put anything in water because of the capital projects. We didn't put anything in sewer for capital projects, and we need to start putting reserves away.
So we're meeting with the towns, or at least Ulysses, I haven't heard from the other two towns, but we're meeting with the towns regarding fire and EMS on Monday. I know Deb won't be able to make it, but this will probably, I imagine, at some point come up in that conversation. There isn't, to coin the phrase, there isn't a way to bend the cost curve in this type of scenario without some radical alteration of either the services offered or the overall tax base available. And we talked about it in the state of the village. We neither have the option, nor do I think our residents would want to entertain something like what Lansing does. We can't drop them all in the middle of the village. We're not going to build a power plant. So we're really looking at residential only as a way for village-wide assessments to increase. And on the spending side, every once in a while, someone will say, well, service came in question. I'm not demanding that we can never cut a service, but those really are the only two options. I don't want to sugarcoat that or have what I'm sure will be questioned by some in the public, that there is some pork to trim somewhere.
Well, let's add to it. We're being requested to do something about stormwater. We're being requested, everybody keeps coming up with these great things for us to do, but nobody wants to pay for them. So, stormwater, I don't even know, I was gonna try and get with you, Warden, I don't know where that even falls. It doesn't fall under water. It could, I don't think it should fall under sewer either.
It would be DPW. So, unless anyone wants to handle things differently, I thought we would just go line by line through the budget, starting on the revenue side, and see if we have any expectations to fill in. Always leaving property taxes last. And interest and penalties, so this is A1090. Interest and penalties interest and penalties in real property taxes currently stand at about 3,700, which projects to 4,200, but I don't know whether we would get more, right? The interest is re-levied.
Right.
Property taxes have been re-levied, so.
Yeah.
So I think keeping that the same as last year, 3,500 is fine.
We haven't gotten the levies from the town yet, so that's why I put the 4,200 in there.
Levies from the county.
Right. Town,
Right.
right.
Doesn't
Sent them
the
already.
interest stop at the point of re-levy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I would leave that.
It does for us. I mean, I don't know what the county collects, but yeah, it stops for us. So whatever I sent in November is the re-levy is what it is.
Okay. Non-property tax distribution, that's our sales tax, is coming in better. It was a small bright spot. We had budgeted 375, we're gonna be closer to 400. But of course, that's economically sensitive, so we're guessing in the dark. I can always, I usually do, or it's a good idea to ask Rick Snyder at the county what his opinion is for next year, or even Jason Lewin, what his opinion is for next year. I think they were talking about 2 to 3% additional increase in sales tax year over year that they're projecting. So I will get that number from them. But for the moment, I think putting in 390 is a conservative number. Yeah, 390. What's next? Utilities. This is always about in line.
390 would be 6%. 6.5%.
What is, I mean, I don't know if it would make a huge difference because I certainly haven't done the math. But you know, our utilities gross receipt tax has been at 1% since like the 80s. And whenever anybody calls and asks the question, they always seem happily surprised that it's still 1%. And I don't know what the industry standard is, but it may be worth taking a look to see if we're really that much lower than everyone else.
That's a bad question. You want to ask him or you want to?
I have a call into him, so I can check in with him tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, the sales tax of 390 would be a, what's it, 10%?
Oh, that would be pretty close. Yeah, I did the wrong. Yeah, I did 25. So probably.
390 would be, it's 10. It's about 4% increase from last year, our estimate of last year. I think the county is looking at something like a 3% increase of this year's actual number. So if they're anticipating something much larger, maybe we can bump the 390 up a bit. But for now, we can. Clerk fees, 553, do you expect that? It projects to almost 1,000 from 750. Do you expect that to?
Not unless we change what we're charging.
So are we leaving that?
We'll leave that.
Are we leaving the gross utilities or are we waiting?
We'll leave that at 35.
35?
Okay.
What do we have there? Right, I'm looking at last year's budget. We had 35. So we'll leave that the same. Police fees, this is from Chief Nelson. He's expecting 1,400, 2,000 for our vest reimbursement. Fire inspection fees, I would leave the same for the moment, 1,500. Police contracts are down because of grassroots making other arrangements.
She said something about possibility of increasing what he charges Fern Dairy and Grassroots.
Okay.
But I left it at what, we just left it until that. That's approved by you guys.
So maybe we can bump that number if we have to. Let's see, the best reimbursement's not gonna change. Summer Rec, this is pretty well defined by the Youth Commission. Skipping down to zoning fees, I would expect to leave that the same as last year, 2,500. Operating permits normally a placeholder line.
Mhm.
Planning board fees, I would leave that the same as last year, 0. The money received is kind of money in, money out.
Mhm.
So we don't have an anticipation of what that's gonna look like.
What is the operating permit line? What is that for?
That is a code enforcement line, it's a TOM line.
Restaurants and other businesses have to have annual operating permits.
Mhm.
So that's where that money comes from.
Why was that 18, what was last year's line for that? A weird number.
68.57?
Yeah,
That's
that's
my
true.
thinking.
No idea.
Slip through. Let's, we don't have anything in operating permit for this year. We're doing that in the spring.
Are you talking about still the operating permit? Tom hasn't really done anything with this budget yet. I think he was looking to talk to you about it before the 25th meeting.
We could possibly put a number in the planning board fees line if we had a way to anticipate. It's dangerous, but we could, if we anticipated, we're billing quarterly now. So if we.
But it's in and out, isn't it? I mean, isn't the whole, that is the whole,
It is and it isn't, so we have the legal lines is primarily where that's going to.
right.
So the legal lines are where they are. So so this would offset that somehow, or in some measure.
A lot of our building permit fees, any of our building department fees probably could use another look over. For instance, the variance application for INHS last week for the 3 variants cost them $150.
I have one, Tom and I redid a couple of years ago to present that I can put back in
But it's
Dropbox.
not a building permit thing. It's a more special, it's not just the permits, it's the other stuff that comes with it, site plan review fees. We don't have one of
I don't
those.
know if that's on that sheet or not.
No, it's not because we don't have one.
Oh,
Okay.
So just something to think about.
The planning board fee line, let's put in 17.5. Actually, no, I take that back. Let's put in 61.
Tell us how you're coming up with the
Yeah,
budget,
that's
if you could.
So the developers agreement currently has a cap of 75,000 that they pre-agreed to pay up to that number.
Okay.
We're about at 61. I think
And
we're
75 annually,
Total.
total, and the agreement has to be re-adjudicated. So we're currently at 61, which leaves 14. It was 53 through the end of September and then about 8 for the fourth quarter of 2018. So if we do a quarterly estimate, that gets me about somewhere between 15 and 18. If we just say, well, we're nowhere going to be able to get reimbursed up to the 75 cap, it leaves us 14, roughly. I don't anticipate that the developer would say, we're not going to renegotiate this if indeed it runs over that, which I can't imagine that it won't at this point. 2 more quarters, that would actually be, most of that would be in this fiscal year. May.
we're gonna have to, if that's in fact, if that is in this fiscal year, before we go into the new year, we're gonna know what they're gonna do.
It all depends on when we send the bills. They're asking me to go quarterly, So that means an April bill and a July bill. And they are paying pretty quickly. But we would at least get the April, May, June quarter, we would receive the reimbursement in July. So that's just one quarter.
And that, you said that's gonna take us up to the 53? And that's gonna take us up to 65?
From the developers agreement, the cap is 75.
Right, but I'm looking at the expected balance as of the 31st.
Oh, that's just an extrapolation of what was received through December, expanded out, which is not relevant on this line. Unless anyone objects, let's make the proposed planning board fee line 10,000. So I think we could get that in the July payment, and if anything, if we were continuing beyond that, if the planning board hasn't made a decision by then, we would certainly be renegotiating the developers agreement.
Yeah, that makes sense, because that's the difference between the 75 and the 65.
Stop DWI never changes.
There isn't any.
Yes, there isn't any more, at this point, they have no money to reimburse us for.
Yeah.
And they can't tell Joe if they're gonna get any more.
So I believe you
That
said
was the same,
before,
that was the same as last year.
the themes were on.
No, last year.
This year, so just.
No, last year Tom didn't even apply for it, so
No.
that's the difference.
Fire protection. So let's see, we don't have the reviewing.
Well, that's the number that's in there now, as of 5/31/19 is actually the
It was
1920.
actually received.
So if you raise it by 1 or 2%,
Wait, say that again?
if you raise the 302,089 by 1 or 2%, because I'm sure the fire budget, because we get the money technically a year ahead of the budget that it's in.
Or what is the contract? What are the contracts that we've signed? What are those actual numbers that we're waiting on a check?
The ones that are right there, 302,089 and 360.
So that's
Those are current.
yeah, that's
Yes.
current, that's calendar 19.
Okay.
I don't wanna, oh, I see what you're saying, January 20.
Mhm.
Yeah, but then we're hitting unencumbered balance twice. Yeah, let's leave those alone for the moment.
Okay.
Let's see, this is passed through from town to Tom, right, the 9216?
Has it been determined that we're not changing that at all? We're not changing that arrangement at all?
There's been no discussion to this point of changing it, unless we would like to discuss changing it right now.
Oh, it's my understanding that Tom was looking to.
Well, Tom's on ours now, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. He's on ours now because it's better, and the town is reimbursing us their portion.
Okay,
Half of what it would be over there, basically, which is not half of what it is here.
right.
That number wasn't a flat number, though, wasn't it? Shouldn't that change?
It did change. He has to pay a little more in because their health insurance is different.
Oh, so he's keeping it flat.
Let's see, interest and earnings, that also never changes. Interest on reserve accounts. What's our total reserve account balance? All reserves.
I have the reserve account in the Dropbox, but I don't have the total.
Oh, pull it up, let's see.
75, 6.
91, 76.
Sorry, I didn't mean to move it while you're looking at it, just so I could go down.
Okay, you can scroll. Keep going.
Some at the bottom.
On page 2. Do you want me to go and look at what they printed?
Okay.
Yeah, that includes general water and sewer and the rest of the checking accounts. That's a total of everything.
We'll go and just back out general. 2216.
Well, we have to back out all these.
No, it's a reserve account.
Right, but no, I'm backing out the checking accounts that are, storm water, we have to back out.
Well, I need that number.
Okay. Well, then I just go back to where we were and start figuring it, because it's easier. Why does they have 2 lines in there?
You got a split screen.
How did I get
I
there?
don't know how you got a split screen.
I'm sorry, I don't know there, but anyway. Where were you?
I cleared it. I cleared it.
Okay, so let's go back up to the, say again,
If you hover over that line, you can drag it.
okay. I'll get somewhere to where you can start.
Looks like 1,000,005. So these are all of your accounts. So it's not general, bill drops, go to reserve. Right, so 76.
5.
What are you trying to do?
I just want us to know what the balance of all of the reserves accounts are.
But you have to, from the number we have here, you have to subtract something out.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, all the checking accounts.
I'm not doing that. You do.
Don't remember.
keep going.
Whatever it is,
Stop.
it's gonna be about 750 again, because
No,
we
it's not.
continually go down.
No, we're gonna do something about
You think it's gonna be higher?
We're gonna do something about that, he
I
said.
want to stop right here for general. And then you can move that.
Well, then, I want him to do my checking account. Make that happen.
That's a good trick.
We're investing overseas.
I get 2% on that one. Go online.
2%? Wow.
Oh, wow.
Interest on my savings.
What happened to Robin's 3%?
Well, yeah, I didn't jump on that. That got real sketchy real
That's
fast.
because it went,
Yeah, so it's about 1,000,001.
No, there's
And
more.
the feds were like, wait a second, no, you don't.
that's not a thing.
It's in Bitcoin, it's okay.
Exactly. You're going all in on
It's
Bitcoin.
all in on Bitcoin over blockchain.
The rest are.
Technology, we all set. Hey, I own blockchain. Stuck.
So it's about 1.3, there's about 1.3 million in reserve, so at even just 1%, that's 13,000, which is a lot more than 1,500. The consortium has been putting a lot of pressure on some of the local banks to get us a better number, because we have 27 million sitting in the bank. And they're basically all giving the consortium between 2 and 2.5. So they were not willing to share that with municipal members, but a lot of the consortium members are talking about kind of banding together and hammering on the banks to say, well, if you can give the consortium 2, you can give us 1. So I think I'm going to reach out to both Trust Company and Key Bank, Elmira Savings Bank, and some of the other locals, and say, listen, we need better than what you're giving us. You call yourself our hometown bank, but we love your branch and we like Cheryl, but 0.01 is not cutting it.
First Niagara has wanted to come take our money for a very, very, very long
Can't
time.
we get better rates in credit unions, or can't we use the credit union?
Theoretically, we could, so I'm not opposed to talking to them either. Our investment policy, which we just updated and reapproved, is my excuse because it does say that we have to diversify financial institutions. And currently, everything's just a trust company. So if we're going to pick 2, it's only $1.3 million, but if we're going to pick 2, then whoever's willing to give us the best rate gets us the million of it. Or they get the reserve accounts and we keep checking at Tompkins Trust or some combination.
What about community bank?
Same idea, we can talk to them all.
Okay.
They need to, the only difference is they need to collateralize the holdings, which I don't know at all, but.
Yeah, I don't think that happens, yeah.
So I wanna put in a bigger number there, I don't know how crazy I wanna go. I wanna make
Yeah,
that
that's a jump.
10,000. But 1% would be 13. I don't think we're gonna get two.
So well, if that's the case, how come we're at 1,200? I mean, even if you can't,
The trust company hasn't increased their holding rates at all, except on request.
so what is it at? Like 0.001?
2 basis points,
0.08 right now.
is it 8 basis points?
It went up from 0.02
Oh my God.
That's 1%.
about 3 months ago, it went up.
1%.
Some things.
Yeah, that's right, it's 8 basis points.
So what you're saying is we're looking for 8 basis points to 2%,
Well, no, 1%.
from 1%.
From 8 basis points to 1% gets us to 13,000. I mean,
What do you
two-
think?
2%, great.
What do you think about certificates? Since certificates are, for new customers, are going anywhere from 2 to 3.5, depending on your.
I'm not opposed to CDs on some of the stuff we don't think
Okay.
we're gonna touch, but they have to be, they'd have to be 9 month.
Right.
So all of your 2 and 3% CDs are 2 and 3 year.
Right.
So if we're looking at a 9 month, you're still under, we might be around 1%. But that's what I wanna do, I wanna do some shopping.
Is that something you want me to help you with or do, or?
Probably.
Okay.
Keep it list of people to call.
Okay.
So then the question for the board is how aggressive do we wanna be? Do we wanna shoot for it and say we're gonna get 1% on 1.3 million, or do we wanna?
Can we start low and then, I mean, this whole process is gonna be terrifying throughout, so if we can revise that number up later based on a little bit more information, I think we'll all appreciate it.
Fear is an excellent motivator. All right, let's make it 10,000.
You made it what, 3?
10,000.
10,000.
Let's start with
That's
off.
not-
Optimistic.
Oh, not on, okay, so,
Interest on reserve accounts.
yeah, what are we gonna do on regular interest?
Regular interest.
Checking.
Leave alone.
Yeah, later.
On momentum for fighting banks.
Yeah, good. Yeah. I love to hammer on my own industry. Rental wireless, I don't know that that's changing. Building permits.
What is rental wireless?
Water tower, basically.
What's that?
All of the antenna.
All those people who want, here's,
Pretty much.
Do you-
We're gonna leave the building permits, let's see, that's Tom. Not planning on selling anything yet. Equipment, insurance, refunds, gift reimbursements, miscellaneous. Mulch, we're still insisting 2,000. Speaking of optimistic. State revenue sharing, that gets to go away, right?
Are we sending that letter to that, Tom?
Send it in.
Fine.
So, should
Send
we
it.
put in any numbers in all of those
No.
funds?
Except
That's
for-
all zeros, right?
All zeros except for the mulch. So we're gonna put a 0 in state revenue sharing?
Unless something changes.
We'll have to change the April first.
15 right now.
So we could always change that.
Well, you heard
Unless
it.
something
We gotta
changes.
move out of state.
Unless something changes at One Empire Plaza, that's gonna be a big deal.
Yeah, could we move the whole village, is that what I'm saying?
Sure.
We make the news. Okay, everybody, up and go.
Is the state or the county?
State.
Oh, totally.
You're gonna look, it's gotta be some we can annex.
We annex ourselves into
Amish country.
northern Pennsylvania. Bradford County, PA. All right, mortgage tax.
No.
Mortgage tax I have at 14,000. Chips, we think is still gonna be there.
Yes.
We don't know the number.
We know that it isn't going up. That's what they said, they're not refunding, they're not looking at ever giving more money.
Okay,
So
so
we
we
put
put
47?
that at 47.
That's what I would put in.
Farmer's market would leave at 800.
Oh, that'll be zero, that grant's
Miss,
zero,
where did you go?
as far as I know.
How did I lose where you were at?
Oh, I'm sorry, we're some chips and then other transportation and then farmer's market grant.
Okay.
I think they're applying for other.
Oh, they
grants.
are? Okay, I didn't
So that's what
know.
they
Okay,
tell me.
okay.
Farmer's market vendor fee.
So is that leaving that at 800?
I left,
Do you think we'll get that?
I left all that because they're gonna be here on the 25th,
Oh, they are.
yes. Yep. The music doesn't change because it's still $100.
Now, last line there, you have interfund transfer, that's EMS, you have as an 86.9 as it
Yeah.
goes down?
That's what,
We made that up.
well, we
So
didn't make it up.
we pretty much made it up. So it's, Vicky's still working through the receipts.
Yeah, trying
So
to
we're
make sure that
not
they all
ever
have.
reliable.
So you're looking at mid-80s,
Yes,
we think.
yes.
Now, are we gonna get serious about, reviewing the fees and the mileage and that piece to increase?
Well, we did that.
Remember that we changed mileage,
We did that
I thought we
last year.
did we?
I can't remember if it
Did we
changed.
take
Doesn't
it?
it have to change every year?
Did we take, I would think,
Yeah, with the federal.
yeah, did we take it to the upper end or did we kind of pick the middle?
He always
gets
fixes it.
58.5.
We brought it up to average. I mean, it was a big jump, but it was just bringing it to average.
You didn't bring it back to, bring it to whatever the federal standard is for mileage?
No,
Well,
no,
that doesn't matter because we just get that regardless.
the billing rate mileage is a different number, but the business mileage went up a lot this year. So if there's any correlation between the two, I would think that the billing mileage would go up again.
What is the difference? What is that, the business?
Deb's referring to the standard mileage rate that you get to deduct. when you-
Oh, right.
There's some correlation between the two,
Really?
because it's tied,
Right.
supposedly tied to fuel prices.
I didn't know.
Petroleum.
Which is back down now, so I mean, I don't, we can pick a number, but I think that we should reevaluate that again and bump it to the high side of average. We don't have to peg the top,
Right.
we don't have to pick the highest end of the range, but I think we should be aggressive because of our coverage area. I think
Right, we can't, I mean, it's worth pointing out that when we did reassess this, it was,
It's 58.
the idea was to,
Say that.
the idea was to target this number, this 90,000 number when we redid it last time.
So we're close. So I want to target a higher number. Might adjust accordingly
Do you want me to look at the previous drop boxes for that sheet that Brian had done?
for next time.
Okay.
So that's good news. That makes you feel a little bit better. So if we targeted 90 and we came close, we think,
Well, yeah, if we're thinking,
then I want to at least leave that as at 90, possibly
yeah, I'd
target
say leave it at 90.
and recalculate and see if we can't target 100.
You want me to put 100 in?
No, put it 90 in, but then get all that other information and we'll target.
Okay.
Excuse me. Okay.
So what is that?
So,
Total, Vicky, throw that in.
766,637 is what I have.
That's six, so let's do that one more time, sorry.
766,637.
let's see.
Did you
Keep
find it?
going another year without being paid, another.
Maybe.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we
What's
will.
that?
Yes,
I
I go back
do.
for being lynched. Hey, I'm doing it for free. What do you want?
It's a good slogan. Only me, I can pick.
What did we just not?
We have a whole bunch of Virginia politicians that would like to have a slogan like that.
That's just way lower.
Way low.
No, it's not.
What do we have for that? 76667. I have no idea.
Sometimes again.
Oh, I put the 23.
You don't have any license, you don't have any,
What's that?
contractual, you don't have anything, you don't.
I am, I'm very low maintenance.
All right. We good for the moment on the revenue side? Or not good for the moment on the revenue side?
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this, the total is 766,637. The total from the previous year?
Oh, we haven't added in a lot of stuff, huh?
Yeah, what are we missing?
Taxes,
Right, so that's what I'm
revenue
saying.
from,
What haven't we put in?
besides taxes.
Right, taxes are obvious, but taxes are
Stuff from,
1,500 right there.
they haven't put in the, fire EMS, so there's almost $1 million.
Okay, that's the difference.
Does that tell you? Okay,
Yep.
is that good then?
I'm pretty low.
Yes. Would that be nice to?
Really like it. No, for free.
So just for example, going back to the EMS rates, this is from February of last year. You know, we accept reimbursement rates and what they are. So there's not a whole lot of wiggle room there, but just for example, the mileage rate, the maximum mileage rate was $40 a mile, and the average was 25. I don't think we have to go to 40.
I think we did with mileage, we did go to the top.
Did we?
It was the other ones that we didn't, I believe we did.
I didn't think about that high.
Well, then I need all of that pulled fresh.
From,
Yeah.
For
From
our
medics?
From our current year numbers.
Yeah.
And then if they'll do a maximum in average for us, medics, from their book of business, that'll be helpful.
Okay.
Because that'll be more regionally applicable to us.
And Vicky, if you're calling them anyway. You ask for just our billing policies, whatever they have on.
Okay, so expenses, we have village board, deputy mayor, village board contractual, we have mayor contractual, auditor contractual. We had budgeted 11 last year, we're planning on spending 10. Any reason why that's under? I think Sarah's just not charging us.
they just, I don't know.
So for next year, let's make that 10. We'll hold it to it.
Okay, so I'm still on computer thing, yeah, village board personnel is gonna stay the same, or we're not doing that yet?
For the moment, we'll keep it the same.
Okay, and the 7,500, that's deputy would stay the same,
You know, all those lines are gonna stay the
stay the
same for
same,
the moment.
okay.
I just want to put an aside in here that I do think the mayor should be taken.
So does the mayor's wife.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a policy question, and
I
it's a
think
deterrent for other people who may be interested. I think it has negative effects in general.
You know, he's not the
I think I
first.
told him that last year. He didn't listen to me then.
He's the only, or we only had one, my term here, 14 years ago, we had one mayor who took a check.
Yeah.
Not the first
We've
one or
only
the
had-
third one. I've had three.
But that's still an argument. That's probably not.
I believe he should be paid too. I think I said that last year.
It is.
Sets a bad precedent. Anybody who would be interested in running for mayor would look at that and say, I mean, it's good for you, but it may not be good for the village, because we want to get rid of Gordon.
It's
But,
7 minute shift of it.
You know,
Well,
all it's gonna take
something
is
else
Lindsay
when
getting
you're
on her
done.
high horse and we're gonna have to pay somebody to be in that role.
You're just assuming there's around the scenes when it's on. Like
I'm not assuming anything.
Well, we can argue about that when we circle back to it.
Yeah.
Auditor, let's make the auditor 10.
We just put an actual note there, our argue about this later.
Circle it in red. A big argue next time.
10, yeah.
Can I ask a naive question about what is contractual versus personal services?
So contractual means that they're not a W-2 employee. So, subject to benefits, so our auditors, an outside party.
No, but I mean for like village
Oh.
contractual.
So that would not be pay that is given to the board member.
So if you get materials or trainings.
I see.
State of the village supplies, that kind of stuff.
Ancillary money
Donuts.
available to the
Other
board.
stuff.
Coffee.
Tequila.
Joe refers to it as a slush fund.
Donuts for the clerk.
Clerk prefers tequila.
So we have, Vicky's filled in numbers for the treasurer.
Why are these going down?
Because Warden changed our distributions.
Oh, right, so that's this.
We made some distribution changes,
You,
which
did?
you have to confirm. That hasn't, this is just tentative.
okay. I was like, you did, because that makes it,
And you then made the adjustments on the line too,
Yep,
I haven't even looked at the water.
which I don't think changes the rate.
I did that, I don't know. That's on Debbie.
I won't know until I've got it all put together. I usually change the distribution to make up the differences in the balance sometimes.
Well, let me know if it changes anything too dramatically. It was, I think, was it 10% of you? Was it 10% of you
For which,
moving to water?
no, mine didn't change in water, only when,
No, it's gonna,
Yours has changed.
Morgan's gonna be the one. that-
yes, but it went to 20% for EMS. That was the only change. I
Not
had.
to go for your paycheck.
So the treasurer changes were allocated to EMS. So it's still in general.
Mine too.
They just-
Registers.
Right, and the clerks.
It was only Morgan who allocated some of it to.
Yeah, 40%, right?
40 and 40.
Yeah, let's,
We'll see if that works or not.
yeah, with adding Jared to it's not done, but that's okay.
No, we're good.
Let's see, what else we got? A lot of
I'd rather have, my taxes and my water bill. I see a water bill every 3 months, so I only see my taxes once a year.
Law.
We haven't done our training, because I haven't figured what Morgan is, I figured we'd do it at that 25th, but.
So back up to clerk treasurer equipment. What do you need this year?
Well,
You haven't spent anything yet, so.
Well, I don't think we need, unless Tammy might need a new printer.
No.
The new space meter.
Oh,
Heated floor mat, but besides the heated floor mat.
Wait a second, hang on. New girl, how cold is it under your desk?
It is freezing.
Thank you very
We
much.
both need to-
Well, we really need, so before, we didn't do, we're doing this before we did the wish list.
Yeah.
Right? I hope that somewhere in this, we're thinking of this, we talked about, putting insulation underneath the front porch.
Underneath
That's
the
the
porch.
Or underneath their offices.
Yeah.
That's
It's
what
the
the problem
basement.
is.
that would be under building maintenance.
So as far as clerk treasurer equipment.
Yeah.
Is there anything on the shopping list this year?
Unless there's,
Unless
something,
something
we're
breaks.
going to invest, I think I'm gonna spend it this year. We need smaller speakers for in here, more portable sound. Can buy that out of this year's budget. We can buy a printer out of this year's budget, so, bar something going kaboom.
Okay.
I think we're fine. I'm fine.
Can we just leave that?
We may
for
need a
next year?
portable media, something, a laptop, iPad, something for Morgan.
So we don't need to change it.
I don't think so. I think we're good.
Clerk treasurer training, 2 lines down.
That's gonna have to go to at least 5. Because it is about $1,500 a person to go to NICOM.
And that's just rooms.
Well, maybe not everybody gets to go.
Yes. Ask.
We don't like grumpy teeth.
I kind of do though.
I get
So,
4 days of training a year. I don't take my training away.
Fine, you're great. You require no more training.
Isn't
You're a
that-
Jedi master.
And they drive. You really can't ask for much. When I look at $5,000 for 3 people, that's like one class.
We're there for 4 days, and that includes our meals.
You know?
And so Ellen May.
All right, make the training line 5 for the moment.
It's your job making me cranky.
Love my new job.
Clerk, personnel, change. That just moved to EMS.
Yes. I should say that.
Okay, so law contractual, strangely enough.
Wait, when did you
Strangely
change
enough,
your distribution?
are we really that under?
Change it
Like,
a few weeks ago.
We adjusted it, we brought Morgan. And adjusted.
Boy, it was
because she's doing so
God,
much
what every
work.
penny we pay now.
20% move to EMS?
Hurry up to 30. My
I can't
number
believe how it moved that.
from 15
That
then.
means that's spreadsheet.
30 hours.
Well, but hang on,
We should.
can I interject? I didn't know that you had already put that in place, so none of the payroll stuff is distributed that way.
No, it's not. This is for next.
Oh, okay, I thought you meant like
No,
now,
no,
and
no,
I'm like,
no.
no, we didn't do that yet, thank you. All right, I'm back.
All right, is Guy not billing us, or is he just hanging low? I mean, this is,
Is everything on the planning?
Yes,
Yes.
oh, that's why.
so law contractual for everything not zoning and planning. Apparently, we don't ever send Guy anything that's not zoning and planning anymore.
Tree stuff.
Is there?
Tree stuff, and that's probably in that.
There was a lot of stuff on when I first joined the board that he was involved in.
Mhm.
But that was EMS, and that they have
We
their
don't
own
have time
line,
for that.
Oh, that's under EMS.
and fire has their own legal line too.
We don't have time for anything else.
There's always time for more.
Oh, I know there is for you.
How about oil?
So I'm thinking of dropping,
Budget line for something.
With much fear and trembling, I'm, thinking of cutting that in half, 7,500.
Oh,
Makes me nervous.
okay.
Yeah, buildings, office building contractual. What do you think?
I'm thinking,
We've
I don't
spent,
know what's in there.
we've spent 10, we budgeted 20, we spent 10.
Was that the ramp? What was the contractual piece of it?
Office building contractual is like office supplies,
Oh, well,
yeah, just,
that's the two of you.
No.
That's,
well, no, that's everybody.
that's the 5, I mean, there's Tom and there's,
Well, that's how we buy
Between
paper and,
Yeah, I mean, it's
that's
everybody.
you.
No, it's everybody in this building.
Oh, it's on.
Everybody in this building, yes. Because we buy paper together, I mean, it's,
So you think we'll hit that 20?
well, we're gonna be close if the average is right at 18.
Yeah. Probably gonna hit the 20.
But
Keep it at 20.
Get this place off paper.
you want to do it at 18?
Old digital.
my desk would be very happy.
Touch screen on every wall.
But yeah, that's
This
just
is where we're a little
material it's made of.
Okay, maintenance and repairs for the building. This is where we would do
You
the,
said 20 for that?
All right, buildings, maintenance and repairs.
and this is where we do the insulation. Has anybody looked at the roof lately?
We just reshingled, 8 years, 9 years ago, yeah.
It's good until.
Better start thinking about that.
So,
There'll be more next time, but
This is why I roll my eyes.
We also have a reserve account though, right? For a building reserve?
Yes.
Yes.
that is slowly going, a little faster going down.
Right, well, it just jumped down a bit.
Not so cheap as that $35,000.
And then like one.
We get into the building reserve.
It wasn't 108, yeah. I mean, I can tell you what it is, if you want to know, it's in the Dropbox.
I mean, we will, to my
Building
mind,
reserve
if
is
we-
75K.
is current,
It's correct, 75.9 actually, but, yeah.
Because if we look, I mean, so Ann mentioned in farming, building inspection and stuff mentioned, and I think any building professional will tell you that when you do routine systems, you really have to look at the envelope of the building. We all have to be envelope of this building's down.
Well, I don't think, and so with that being said, when Snow was here, the installer was putting in said heat pumps. He came in and said, do you realize that the entire sill of this side of the building is completely routed away?
On this side?
Yeah, so we replaced some over here a couple of years ago, if you remember, between our atrium and the police department porch. But it seems like the rot is creeping and spreading as you would anticipate it doing, and now it's this entire side of the house. You can put your hand right through between the house and the basement.
Oh.
Which is also why the heat isn't sufficient.
Well, and I'm thinking that like the day that I was in, the pipes had frozen. Part of that, I think, is that the boiler isn't working so hard, it's not keeping those pipes warm.
Well, your pipes are frozen because you're not insulated, period. I have frozen pipes too.
Right, but that hasn't changed. No, this was not the super cold.
No, I know.
Oh, yes, it was.
It was right after.
No, because I was gone.
It was that weekend.
It was
honest to God.
just after, I know what day it was, what came from here to my house.
Yes.
It was after the cold, it was 2 days after the cold, but it's when it started to thaw that you realize you didn't have any water.
Well, and it was a Monday, and we hadn't been here a weekend.
Yeah.
So, and there's no heat in our bathroom if the boiler shut off.
So regardless,
There will be work.
back to the buildings maintenance and repairs contractual line, how much of that do you want to do this year, Deb?
I need to know, there are a couple things I need to know. I expect the DPW to be able to do some of this stuff. And my experience to date, since Bruce left, is they don't do any of it. They contract everything out. So, I mean, there's some basic questions that we need to ask here. Are they capable of replacing the cell? Probably not.
That's a tough one.
The insulation, I would think they'd be capable of doing.
Unless you want to do something like spray foam, which requires specialized equipment that they don't have.
Right. And
It
actually.
also requires fumigating the building, you guys like evacuating, because that stuff is gross.
I did it at my house when I was living in it.
Yeah, I did too. Doesn't make it right.
How much was that?
So you wanna-
things.
Do you want to leave that line blank and come back to it, or do you want to?
I think that, I think it needs to be more, period, but I don't know how much more. If we're gonna actually address one of the sills,
I don't know what
I
we're
don't,
talking about.
And we still have the police steps and a handicap ramp to do, too.
we still have the front steps,
Police
the police steps.
and a handicap ramp.
Where's the ramp going?
I don't know, I thought that's what they said. it-
For police,
No, that's what we did.
I think they're thinking of a ramp up instead of those stairs,
Oh.
so would people.
The police were thinking of it?
There was talk of that, I don't know for that long.
I don't know that that's as required as the new sill to hold the damn building up.
Well,
Well, there is handicap access to the police station through the main office.
Right.
We don't need both. but- Make that 5 for the moment.
Okay.
I mean, if it's bigger than that, it should come out of reserve.
Okay, except that, are we putting anything in reserve? Because there's only $75,000 in there.
I'm sure we allocated something to reserves.
I remember that.
Yeah, we should.
75,969.
that's
We gave it to them in reserve for the building.
That's in the reserve, that's a separate document. That's what I asked her for. I didn't, maybe it's at the end.
It's in the, it's in the Dropbox, under the budget resources,
Gas and electric.
I printed it, so I'm wondering.
1920 budget.
But you're right, so 5,000 is probably fine.
I agree.
Okay, gas and electric,
Leave that the same.
actually, Did I hear that our gas bill doubled?
It went up quite a bit.
The electric bill, the gas bill.
Right.
Yes, well,
It all comes, yeah, gas and electric bill.
Yeah.
Not same bill.
okay, so not more than 3,500.
I'll leave it for the moment.
Eric from Tompkins Insurance said that property insurance is going to go up between 2 and 3%.
When will we have that actual number?
March, late February, early March.
Let's leave that.
Okay.
When do we pay it?
I think it's due March 1st. I'm sure it's due March 1st.
IT contractual, that's Jeff, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I see so far in the budget.
Because we honestly haven't,
Usually.
knock on wood,
He did
haven't had
some,
any issues.
he did some work under, for water and sewer, but, I mean, for the DPW, but it was under their lines, so,
We spent a lot of time in the firehouse this week too.
yeah.
That's all the stuff we just hear.
Mm.
So this is just here,
Right.
and I think, the only reason I think we had, did somebody get a new machine this year?
Mm-mm.
So let's drop him down to 2. Workers' comp, we won't know for a while.
I just paid it. It's $2,500.
Drop it down to 2. Sometimes I have to hear it 6 or 7 times.
Can we leave it at 25?
What's that?
Workers' comp?
You said you just paid it
Yeah.
at
that's right.
25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Reimbursable expenses is nothing.
Telephone, we budgeted 1,600 and we're on pace for 900.
Mhm.
That's good.
Yeah.
Let's make that 1,000. Web design we'll keep because we're gonna be adding some stuff maybe. Central garage equipment.
I don't know what that is.
I remember we had this discussion. I think what we said, we were keeping this at 2,000.
Okay.
Building repairs can probably be at 1,000.
Okay.
Actually, maybe at 500.
Do I hear 0? Central garage DPW contractual.
The reason that is 1,700 was because they bought the
10,000.
17,000, sorry, was because they bought the salt spreader. I think this is why, because they bought the salt spreader, and Dusty thought he told me to encumber the money, and he did not. So that's a kind of a one-time,
Any reason to bump that, Deb?
No, leave it at 10.
DPW gas and electric. This looks to be coming in.
This actually seems to,
Looks to be coming in low.
yeah,
But after the last year of being almost, 3,100, that is bizarre.
Well, we're not through the worst of the winter yet. I mean,
no. Yeah,
Yeah.
We'll leave that for the moment.
yeah, I would leave it at the 1,900 for right now.
19.
I'll buy your gas.
Right.
No, you're right. I was looking at the wrong column.
Training, what kind of training is that?
They have water training, we had,
But that's underwater, Deb.
okay.
They were, I thought this 2,500, someone was supposed to go to the NICOM conference last October.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna make it at least
Well, one
one
other
or two.
issue.
Oh, this is you all, I know, it's nothing to do
No, it is.
This is DPW.
Who's going to NICOM for DPW?
It's,
NICOM has a public works
yeah,
school
thank you.
that nobody from the
We've
village has
never had
attended
anybody
in.
go, and
in
they need
6
to
So we
go.
budgeted for it and they still didn't go.
He did leadership training instead.
Right, it was only the
That was
GC
what the
side of
435 was,
We're
because
still
we wanted to
forward.
let him get up his feet under him
but we're still only at $435.
Yeah, I know, that's all it costs.
But if we send one or two of them to public works school, it's gonna be
Oh,
significant.
we're not sending two.
So leave
It's
it
not in the contract.
2,500.
Sorry, I forgot,
Right,
we're sending one.
Maybe we shouldn't say
There's
that.
nothing about training in the contract, so.
There isn't.
So put 0. Except that that's underwater. There's still, they have to go.
Water
What's the
license
difference
training.
between the NICOM
There's gonna be
Training and
excavation
the, like,
training
Cornell
required by the time.
highway and roads?
Just send it over, just send it.
They have
In
to do
theory, the Nikon stuff is cheaper than a Cornell cooperative extension type thing. Because Nikon
We're a
subsidizes it.
member.
In theory.
They do have to take that new excavation training. It's a 2-hour training. It's not super expensive.
So we'll make it 1,000 on that line then?
Yeah, that's fine.
more than enough.
DPW fuel is coming in low.
Yeah, I don't think
Careful
so.
about that, no?
I mean, again, winter.
DPW, yeah, what I understood was that they think it's gonna be high because the school
It's running out.
is running out of gas.
No, they're not. I had a conversation with Kimberly this morning.
You did?
That's a Joe Maglio.
They put some additive in it too, so it won't freeze,
There's,
or that wouldn't do whatever it does.
she wasn't aware of the issue, so she's gonna take care of it.
Okay,
There's no reason it should freeze and there's no reason it should be low.
okay.
We have our burn cards coming.
She's also not sure that Joe knew either, because she doesn't know anyone from here is contacting Joe. You can call him Joe.
Jonas.
So we'll assume that that's gonna be taken care of.
5,000,
Leave that.
Leave it at 5. Let's see, liability building insurance.
I have no idea. 8,400, and it's $365.
I don't even know what.
Liability of building for
Just,
just for DPW?
it's about 8,400, or I'm sorry. It was
And
9309 last time, and that's the bill I'll get in mid-February sometime,
You've
so.
got gas and flammables
Yeah.
and.
Workers' comp, is that a real number?
Yep.
Leave
I
that
just
at
did that.
8,400?
Yeah, we're just gonna leave it alone for the moment. See what the bill looks like in February. Workers' comp, that's a real number, 9509.
Yep.
Okay. Telephone, I like it when these things come in low. Budget.
Wait, so what do we think we'll budget for work?
9509 is the actual number.
So I thought about it, and I'm willing to let the phones go.
Bill, yeah, I bet you.
Well, that's gonna be different, now
Telephone
we're,
is in,
now we're
is in the
paying them for
contract.
their phones too.
Yeah, telephone is in the contract.
Right.
It's $50 a person, right,
Per quarter.
per
Quarter. Per quarter, right?
No, it's $50 a month.
Right.
But we're paying them
We're
quarterly.
paying them quarterly.
Okay, gotcha. All right, my mistake, sorry.
Are we splitting that up according to how they are distributed, Debbie?
Yes, part of that would be distribution.
Okay, I can figure that out and let you know, because I don't know what it would be right now.
So let's make that 2350. Let's make that 2,000 for the moment.
Okay. I'll get that number, for that number.
Municipal dues, do you really cough up $2,000 a year?
That really is about right.
Well,
It's about $2,000 a year.
You said we do cough up $2,000 a year, municipal dues.
yes,
Contingent account is a blank for the moment.
Yep.
Oh, police.
oh, yes.
So you already did all the police?
Yes.
Keith and Joe wrote in Vicky to police.
They have their own little spreadsheet if you want to see it in more detail.
What do we have in the police contractual line? What is that? What does Joe have in that 20,000?
Yeah, he didn't tell me exactly why he wanted it up to 20. So I assume that he'll tell you guys on the 25th unless he's discussed that with Keith.
No, I mean,
Are they getting new radios? Are they getting,
Well, they're getting it 2 new cars
It's not contractual.
That's,
Yeah, no, it's not, I just,
Stick one line at a time here. So contractual is a question mark. What's in that line? Fuel, he has 7,500. I think I want to back that down. I don't know why we would increase our fuel consumption.
Is it because there's always a car running in the parking lot now?
well, and
Because
you have 2 full-time employees, so that should be on the road.
can we actually just
They're
take
not
that
here
a
together.
for real aside?
I can never there together.
So there's too many people
Yes,
talking at once to
full-time,
answer the question, but
Periodically.
the cars will always run.
Every time they come now, they're running.
They're usually sitting running, but even so, we're under what we budgeted last year.
Yeah. Even so, why are they running?
Same reason we do insurance. It also matters in the police car with the computers, you can turn them off. And they have to reboot when you're going if there's a call. Every sheriff's car, every sheriff's deputy, every.
Oh, I know it's a thing, I just don't think that is a good.
Pretty sure it's the best practice in the universe.
Yeah, I can go for a ride.
You could, if you can unlock the door.
And Jill and I know, fuel, we figured out what she said to be a bad here. And we had it. That's how we figured out the 7,500.
Fuel includes him,
Yes.
so that's the difference.
Mm. But it would still be lower.
I still think that's a little high. If we're projecting 4,500.
Yeah, okay.
Let's highlight that to come back to it.
Okay.
Vehicle maintenance, police insurance. What's the police insurance? That's our actual liability insurance?
Yes, we have, well, yeah, for the cars. And I upped it to the 45, I'm sorry. I upped it to 12,000 because of the 2 new vehicles.
So we don't have a quote yet.
No.
We'll need that real number.
Why would we have to pay $5,000 in vehicle repair when we have insurance?
And new cars are.
We did get that back though.
We got the $5,000 back.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just,
Oh, is that money in, money out?
are you talking about the vehicle repair?
Yes.
Yeah, it's money in and money out. That's why there's a 0 under proposed.
Wait, what line are you trying?
Thanks.
Police vehicle repairs on the bottom.
Vehicle maintenance.
Vehicle
You gotta be
repairs
more specific and you gotta speak.
under uniform.
A 3120.
Yeah.
Five? Oh.
We're talking about 2 totally different things.
So vehicle.
Yeah, don't go ahead though. Police training. Where's that training?
That's a new line.
What's that gonna be for?
They are sending Mackenzie, there's some things that Mackenzie wants to, he didn't specifically tell me what each of them are for.
Where are we now?
Police training, 3120, I think, they're for.
I think Ben was going to FTO school.
That's now.
Yeah, he's gone right now. Well, you know what?
These
That
knowledge practitioner.
that makes
Do you know if
sense.
these are required trainings?
They just gave me the numbers.
Something new that she was doing, they said it in the state of the village. I can't remember what it is.
Police telephone. Why is that still at 5? You think are we gonna hit 5?
And I hit 5. Mhm. With the cell phones and they're all their lines that they have and.
Okay. Get 50% credit on this. Joe about that, 25th. Fire department, they decided all of this, at least in theory.
Although, did we change any of the, personnel stuff in fire?
Change it?
Yeah.
No,
Your-
no,
Fire
the
stayed the same.
distribution, yes. The distribution stayed the same.
I don't know if it matters, but it says turnout get, it's not gear.
Okay.
It's a thing, it's a technical term.
I will fix that.
All right, sliding all the way down then to deer management. We're about on budget with that. I don't expect that we'll be doing away with the program unless anyone wants to push for that.
Did you mail the others back to DEC?
I believe Bert is taking care of that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll double check.
I did check, because usually it's us, so and I haven't seen any.
Do you want 5,000 in there? We
Yes.
have it. Okay.
So why do you think the expected balance on May 31st is gonna be 5306?
It won't be, that's just,
It's just an average.
if we take December 31 and then divide by 7, multiply by 12.
I
But
know,
they'll
that
be,
still seems high,
but they'll be done in March, so they'll probably come in under.
but not by much.
No, I mean, there's no new program from March to May, March to June, so.
But that's another, that's another one of those programs. Want it, don't want it.
They're over 50 deer now, so
There are,
Last year,
there
for sure.
are over, what?
they have taken over 50 deer so far. So.
Yeah,
You know,
put
it's-
a dent in them, but, yeah.
$100 a year.
Treading water. Corn is, corn's not cheap. Let's see, this gets back to Tom. Cone fire.
Drinking games.
Ooh,
It's horrible. I don't like it.
Safety inspection, so that's Tom's equipment. We'll have to ask him whether he needs anything.
He's working on it.
Looks like it's kind of anything.
No,
No.
training he hasn't spent, so we need to get.
He is going to training in, when is it, Tam? Did he tell you?
He did, but I don't remember.
I think it's in March sometime he's going.
Yeah, it's
So that'll be this budget year. The question is, does he need it in next budget year?
I don't know.
Safety inspection.
I don't know what his consumer guy is.
How has he only spent $45 on legal?
Because it's
He's
all coming
been
out of
good.
planning and zoning.
Jessica Giles doesn't do anything.
That's just totally, right? I mean,
Safety inspection, so that would only be code enforcement.
right.
So is, without naming names or addresses, is that not going into this line?
Have we had guys?
If you're asking about 43
Yes, so without
Washington,
naming names or addresses.
oh,
Sure.
sorry. I don't know the answer, but
The guy that did that?
Thoroughly.
Is that just? That seems like a true bill.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that.
Then, more names and addresses, please.
yes. No names? No names.
okay.
So then let's take that legal line down. Last year we spent 6,200. We know what that was for. That was for Main Street. So this year, let's take that down. Let's make that 4 for the moment.
Okay.
We'll ask Tom if he's expecting to need more. And our good friends in EMS, we already figured these out, I think. Well, you can always bump that.
So this is where the distribution is changing.
Yes, a little bit. Tammy went up
Which is-
0.05, and I went up 0.05. I think, or Tammy went from, or did you go up from 20% to 30%?
Yes,
For someone else?
for next year.
I don't know. I don't know the answer. I can't remember. I was 20, so I'm probably 30 now.
Yes, Tammy went from 20 to 30. I went from 15 to 20.
Ambulance legal is over this year, but I'm hoping beyond hope that we won't have a repeat next year. Keep that at 5. Street admin. Got 27,255, is that right?
But that's probably gonna change.
Is that 2%?
Yes,
Or is that you guys? No, that's the
No.
person.
that's it.
Okay, the reason we put $100 in the street maintenance equipment is because they don't know if they need it till they get to paving. And then it's just like a rake or something that they might have to pick up, which is what that line is for.
Okay.
So I leave it at $100. I mean, it's for out-of-pocket expenses at the time of paving, basically.
Street maintenance contractual, that's paving.
No, that would be the next one, the chips, unless they use more than the chips.
Remember, there's two pieces to street maintenance.
Right.
Yes, we say that we need $80,000 to pay. 47 comes from chips, the rest of it comes from us.
Okay.
We did not pay last year because it was too late, but we are spending before the new year. We are paving in spring and paving
You're
in
gonna
fall.
pay twice.
We're gonna pay twice, so we are gonna spend this money. So we need to continue to take the money, 35 and
Do
47.
you want to pay twice, or do you want to bump to a spring cycle?
I think that you want to pay before the snow. Because it makes it easier to plow. I mean, Lake Street now, I couldn't believe how bad it was. I don't go up it very often anymore.
But Lake is in the spring.
They were supposed to be done before, but it's gotten that progressively worse, not having anything done.
I'm always wondering what the trade-off is between making it easier to plow versus having your fresh pave subject to winter harshness and freeze thaw damage.
The other reason is that we don't do enough volume to be the number one people on the asphalt, people
For the spring.
for the spring. So it may happen like in July and people will be flipping out
We rely on.
during grassroots. So the whole point is to hit the schedule where they'll accommodate us because we are small.
Right. And sometimes we collaborate with the town of Ithaca to haul for us or whoever.
Right.
And their projects come first.
I would be worried about changing it and being able to support it or.
Okay. Snow removal.
Can we actually just go back?
Yeah.
So the EMS personal line is the same as what we proposed to the towns. So that shouldn't be, if we're changing distributions, that should be reflected there. So we should just put a note that we should reevaluate that if we're changing our
Okay. Did you make a note to calculate that?
No, I had a formula, I still have a formula.
Are these real numbers? I don't believe it. For snow?
Did you remember what Ben just said?
Is that
No,
what they
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That
Just
can't
that
be
the
right,
number
it's
that's
based on
here is
something
the
that you
same
told
as
me
the one
recently.
that we proposed to the towns.
Everyone's
Yes.
personal. But if you're, if I
So
show you the
we're-
percentages.
That should be reflected, so that number will have to change.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah, this is not.
Based on 12/31.
I will check, but yeah.
This can't be right.
It's not, this is expended as of 12/31.
Right, but then it's saying that it's doing a variance based on that for 9th of May, and we know that's not right.
Sorry.
Well, I don't know that that's not right, but I know that there's a lot more snow coming to the expended line. A lot more.
Well, I know, and we had, yeah, I think that what I understood was we busted that 7,300 already.
Oh, yeah.
So, the proposed for it, I'm talking about snow removal, personal services.
I have never seen our snow budget go above this ever, until now.
And you know it's gonna go up.
No, it shouldn't.
No.
It should go down.
So I said, we leave it at,
Okay, 7697, snow removal equipment. Any snow removal equipment that we need this year?
no, we've expended, we're up to date on all of our equipment.
Snow removal contractual,
So what are we doing with the equipment? Then do you want to leave it,
that's zero.
it's 0?
Snow removal contractual, who's that?
This is salt,
Salt.
right? And we have to buy $6,500 worth by contract.
Okay,
Where does
The town,
street lighting contractual.
no idea. Sorry.
Remind me who's hiding in that street lighting contractual line.
Just the streetlights? That wasn't even sarcasm, that was just a real honest answer.
All,
Sorely inflated.
all the non-NICEX streetlights are
Overrated.
All the bills that we get from NICEAG.
We don't,
we should look at those.
I think Keith has looked at those.
Yeah, I mean, they
28
just did a
hundred.
pretty in-depth audit of those.
We budgeted 25 grand and,
so that'll change if we have any type of a buyback program.
all right. I would keep it at 25 grand. It looks like it comes in somewhere around there.
Okay,
And if we aim for like a hyper version or something, it should just sort of gradually go down and it won't be like a crazy spike.
Okay.
sidewalk contractual.
Is that the in and out? Is that an in and out?
No, I think that's our reimbursement, right?
Nope, that's if you guys want to do anything with sidewalks.
Sidewalks. That's like the volunteer sidewalk ones or those little sections are coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I thought
We
was
haven't
in and
used
out.
any of that.
Yeah, I thought we did.
I know there's interest in doing south from Maine to Wade for sure. Might
As a community build.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Mhm.
It wouldn't even be that full stretch because there's sidewalk down the church, right?
Both sides?
Well, I was thinking the far side from here, so it connects up with the new sidewalk we built. It's kind of missing out a little piece there.
So if we can do that in the spring, it'll be in this budget year. It seems a shame to pull it, but.
I'll tell you what, you do that and we don't do the off-street parking contractual. Or,
What is that?
That's the parking lot across from the farmer's market. Well, that's
Well,
what,
what is
that's the
Where goes-
proposed parking lot across from the.
So we had put in 10, we haven't used any of it, right?
That's right. We can put 10 in and we can put in I actually talked to them about paving, since we have the 2 paving cycles. I know you talked about wanting it paved.
So that all depends on whether we get anywhere with West Main Street.
Well, if it's done, will that help us get West Main Street? Or is one,
Or if it's not done, will that help us get West Main Street?
the other thing I'm thinking of, do we really want to put more impervious surfaces in the village? That was the question.
But it's, I mean, we have very little green space that we own that is permanent green space.
Well, if the car's parking at it, it's not.
Right. But you can park, yeah,
But
you
why
can
are
park
they
there and
parking
it'll
there?
still be greenish.
Why is anybody parking there?
Where?
Because of the farmer's market.
Yeah.
They're still
Yeah, but-
parking.
That parking lot at the farmer's market can hold 300 cars. I mean, not the immediate, but the shop parking lot behind. You can fit so
It
many
gets full.
cars there to have so
It
many
is
parking.
full.
It gets
And
full.
it's full.
Yeah.
I have not gone because couldn't find a place to park.
The largest parking area behind where the shops are, where like actual DPW garages are, is full. I've never seen that.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Are we talking, you're saying behind, and that seems odd to me.
Right, I'm not talking about the circle, and I'm not talking about the parking area adjacent to the farmer's market park. I'm actually talking about the like 60 spaces that are in the large parking lot between the pole barn and the garages.
They
There's
fill up because people live in the park.
Ah, okay, well, that makes more
But
sense.
there could be 40 or 50 cars in there, and then that feels full.
Isn't generally the vendors across the street?
Yeah, so
I mean, I certainly see all sorts of people parked over there now.
we could definitely have that big parking lot striped properly. We could-
What needs to be, did they finish paving it? I mean, it was on the list to be paved. I think it
It
was
was
done
paved
2
years
years
ago.
Yeah, I think it was paved.
When Bruce was here.
Let's pay.
Yeah.
No, I know it's
That could
paid.
definitely be, turn that into a Wegmans parking lot and make spaces tight, you can get a lot of cars in there.
You could, there's a lot of space in between. There's enough for another.
Especially we cleaned up the edges and,
Right.
and
That's really what it is.
Dribble on.
The edges are where you lose space.
I'm afraid they don't want to stripe it because, they pile stuff in it too.
Right,
well, it's
and
not in the contract, so we're gonna stripe it. We're gonna stripe it tight.
We're developing a second theme for this.
And
year's budget.
is there a reason that we don't use it as another actual municipal parking lot as opposed to?
Because,
Are you talking me out of paving across 96?
Well, I'm trying to do both.
well, no, the reason is they're moving heavy equipment and they need the turnaround time, they need to be
The
able to pull
only
it up.
heavy equipment we have is the backhoe.
The backhoe, the bucket trucks, I mean, there's stuff moving around there.
So as long as the lanes,
There's definitely deliveries that come in as well. I mean,
so as long as it's striped with a fire lane width, then we can still get vertical spaces along the edge
Yeah.
and in the middle.
It just seems that we have this large paved surface that we're not using. It seems ridiculous to build another paved surface. And that crosswalk is dangerous.
That's, I agree with
Don't act so surprised, I do have them occasionally.
Are we doing the $3,000 for the sidewalks
Few
or
and
no?
far between these days.
that. I think
We're gonna leave 3,000 for
Who's
sidewalk, but
technical
we're gonna
thinking?
I was.
pull the off-street parking.
So we're gonna do zero.
Yeah, let's do zero.
Not a contract.
Publicity,
10,000 then?
no, we're gonna make that zero.
Okay.
listen,
What's publicity? I think we get all the publicity we need these days.
Yes, we generally used to use it for the postcards that were sent out
yeah,
for the
state of
state,
village,
for the state of the village.
But we didn't do that every year.
No,
We should do that.
We should do that going forward.
Disagree.
What's that?
I mean, I think, honestly, I think the Facebook interaction has sort of displaced the postcard.
I agree. I'm sending it 911 Swift, I'm sending it MailChimp, I'm sending it Facebook, Virtual Hall, our website. It costs us hundreds of dollars in time, supplies, postage for 300 of them come back non-deliverable. We waste a lot of
See,
money.
the difficulty though is like, there are people who don't have internet, and I would hate to leave those.
Right,
people
but
out.
there was the Free Press, Tompkins Weekly, the radio station, I mean,
And the counter.
and the counter, and the library, and I mean, so
We put a sign up in the yard.
if you build it, they will come. It's,
Do a banner
No, you
across
don't
the
put a
road.
sign.
Based on the
That's not a bad
schools signs.
I don't think we have, I don't even think we have to.
Sign or something.
I think they would-
Says what?
That's actually a really good idea.
Different what?
Village student meeting.
and for what it's worth, my techie board, we don't have a good sign out front that gives you any kind of information about
Too
it.
much light stuff. School, marquee.
It would be like the following.
Just got that calendar right for Paw Patrol line. March 24th.
There you go.
Well, we can do something
love
like
that.
put it on the school thing.
We put on
I'd be happy to
a
get rid of that.
few flyers, and we can definitely flyer the village more prominently.
Sure, yeah, we can do posters and that kind of thing, but the mailing is just a lot of time and a lot of money for not a lot of bang.
I think we thought about the mailing because numbers seem noticeably low at this year's State of the Region. So maybe it was because of that. Maybe it wasn't.
I've had half a dozen or so people come up to me and say, yeah, I was gonna go, but I decided not to. So it's not like they didn't know.
I don't wanna hear
Yeah, I
that.
mean, I did have people say that they weren't aware of it, but I'm not married to the idea of a mailer, as long as we're,
Yeah.
something more kind of physical and out there.
Does the fire station itself have a sign?
Sure does.
Yes.
Could they put it on that?
Oh, no,
No?
I'm not asking, you can.
I can certainly answer, sure.
This is a safe space for ideas.
It's true.
That's not
It's also live.
I feel completely safe not asking.
What is village?
I feel completely safe not asking.
Yeah, we play this.
Yeah, you guys can ask.
An idea should not live or die by your willingness to ask for it.
Don't shoot them
That's
down.
right, okay.
But more to the point, we can get rid of this number and find other solutions.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Look at that, move this forward.
That do not involve,
Huh?
that don't involve.
Asking
Yeah.
anybody.
Good luck.
All right, so youth, where are we at here?
Where's the clerk line again?
None of your business.
How many places have we hit that?
Well, you're gonna hit it in every place.
Yeah, don't worry, I'm anticipating it.
All right, youth program personal.
These numbers, the critical one here is the contractual number, the 7311.4. That is the amount that we give to the youth commission, that then gets divided between the program managers, the other programs that the youth commission does, and it's some of it's sent back to us for some reason.
873114. I thought the same.
I did,
Uh,
Ben, I don't know when we're
Oh.
planning to meet with Nancy next.
She wants to be
Yes.
So the school is on board with whatever we propose with respect to shared services, including possibly money.
Great.
And use of facilities. The problem with the use of facilities is they don't mind not charging us, but varsity sports will always take precedent if it's in that cycle. And then if we need a building when there's no custodian on, then they can bring someone in. So
Right,
that's
so-
where the fee gets incurred.
I mean, theoretically, we clean all of those rooms anyway as it is, so that shouldn't be an issue. But obviously, the sports and like other school events would take this. But that's,
So yeah, they're fully on board.
Our camps don't overlap with the varsity season.
yeah, and even if we expanded and did more things, I can't imagine that anyone would assume,
Right.
like,
Right.
hey, let's do a game. Yeah.
So just let next time you're talking to Nancy,
Yeah.
that's definitely on the table for whatever we want to do there.
Great.
TCR, we got it plugged in for 500. I don't know if we want to make them come and do a song and dance for it.
I got letters from everybody.
Okay. It's not a song and dance, it's written.
We'd like to see him.
Could be one of those ones that has a song in it, you know.
That's true. Those cards are always fun.
Sorry.
Got a library.
In terms of them making a presentation, so.
We just got the library one.
We used to be a lot stricter about making them sing for their money. We've gotten away from that in recent years.
Well, what are we singing when they find out they don't get any?
I'm curious, though, just maybe other people are too, but.
Well,
I mean,
library came tonight, we can certainly invite TCR. Museum, Historical Society, that's always a,
Every
we come back
year,
so you can
yeah,
argue?
yeah.
that's always,
I can give the TCR pitch right now if we'd like that. As a-
I'm less worried about this, I'm just curious to know, how the project is going along.
Which reminds me, they have a meeting on the 20th, but I can't make it. Do you want to go?
February 20th.
I'm pretty sure it's the 20th.
Which line is TCR in?
that's a new line.
Which one?
That's six.
It is A 7140.4.
We can sell some.
Oh, I see it, it's way on the top.
I had a discussion
That
with
is the
Sandy
board
last,
meeting, so that's the.
she doesn't want
So,
it, so
I-
different.
So that's
I mean, I've been marking my blue if I think that it's worth a discussion later on when we need to remove money.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm putting I'm putting the museum. I think the library is critical. I mean, I just do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm putting the museum and the historian on that list as things to be discussed. At what point do we just say no?
I mean, we're required to have a historian, right?
Pardon me?
We're required to have a historian, aren't we?
No, it's not statutory.
We want to talk to Sandy, see what she sees as the scope of her work.
See if she'll do it for free.
The mayor does,
Huh?
the mayor does. Everybody should be working.
I mean, if everybody, if these people, I mean, to me, it's a hobby. And if you're passionate about it, you would do it anyway.
I mean, of the people that we interviewed for that position, I bet they're all doing what they were doing now. They're all doing now what they were doing before that interview, regardless of what we hired them.
That's sort of my point.
I don't think it's about money.
No, it's,
We'll
that's.
talk to Sandy and see what she sees as.
Okay.
And,
Why don't
and
we
not
get to the
to,
end before we,
yeah, and then not to diminish what she's contributed, because she's done a lot.
she has that.
And I like having her, but when you get down to, do you want your roads plowed or do you want a historian? I gotta tell you. Do I want youth rep or do I want a historian?
Oh, you gotta keep the kids out of trouble.
Can't keep them out of trouble if they don't understand history. All right.
We're racing history anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Farmer's market.
What does that?
What's grant?
Yeah, what is it?
That's just like grant money that we get, it just offsets any expenses. If we spend it like, taking care of T-Bird with the flowers and stuff like that, go in there and,
That's where their spend would go.
yeah. But then if you look in the revenue, we get money back, so it's in and out. I don't ever, because I never know how much it's gonna be, so.
Farmer's market's supposed to be here Monday, actually.
Oh, really? They're coming on the 25th too.
Okay. They may be coming Monday to see if we will approve their new market manager. So we'll leave them alone for the moment. Food Net, what's that, Meals on Wheels?
The insurance is gonna stay there.
Here. Even that little one is not very big.
What's that?
Is that a
I
yes?
think it's unbelievable.
Well,
Not as high as I would thought
I love it.
Stay tuned.
I love it.
yeah, we're on the plan.
No, we have
All right. So we have zoning pros. You good? Zoning personnel, no zoning officer at the moment, but we have money to pay that person if and when. Remind me again, what is zoning contraction? Which we haven't
That's
spent.
gonna be,
Yeah,
you're
okay.
Xeroxing the
I think that
paper.
you anticipated that there were gonna be,
Filing
I don't know,
fees.
stuff for zoning that didn't have to do with 46 South Street.
Copies, gotta
Contractual.
take pictures of the draft.
Oh, zoning also, this was supposed to be
This is the,
the zoning
The
board.
committee.
Yeah, the committee. I think you thought it was gonna be done by,
for the
Oh, for
consultant and all of
EDR.
that.
Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
sorry, I couldn't think, I can't think.
CPC.
Yeah, I can't come up with that, but that was well done.
The comp, good, thank
I
you.
just point vaguely.
The comp plan.
Yeah, that guy's, it's a,
Personnel.
So zoning contractual at 15.
Ben, what were the numbers attached to those proposals?
That was, if I remember correctly, it was just shy of 45, and we were thinking of doing it 15, 15, 15 over 3 years.
So we're gonna get that 15 spent in this year, 15 next. Yeah, okay, we're gonna leave that
Just
one.
double check.
We'll leave it 15.
That's for the,
For the the consultant for that.
Zoning publishing, how come we're not spending anything here?
Oh, trust me, I just put in a couple today I spent.
That's another one that with the committee will probably come.
That has to do with like, also the ZBA, if there's, Tammy puts legal notices in.
Yeah, I probably spent most of that today.
Zoning legal, haven't spent much yet, we'll leave that alone. Planning, if and when.
you're leaving it alone at 5K?
Personal still. But then,
Planning,
Yeah, those, we just do that so you guys notice.
if and when. Planning contractual, what that is.
It used to be publications, any kind of supplies they needed. Do you want to order it in 1,000,
Wait a second.
or do you want,
Why was it 10,000? What happened?
What line are you on?
Planning contractual.
80/20.4.
And all that stuff.
the year before it was, because that was where we, the stuff from Canaan. Before we had that appropriations line. Good morning, sorry,
Yeah.
yeah.
Are we leaving it at 1,000?
Contractual, yes. Planning appropriation, so that was
We spent it.
money for, that was the rest of the money for Camoin.
Mhm.
So I will have a conversation with planning board chair about if they think they need to spend money.
I don't, can we even, as long as we have the activity we have there, shouldn't we have that in there?
We should have something in there. I don't know that we need a consultant fee of 25,000 in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems kind of like a one-off.
Yeah.
At that level.
Even though it ended up getting reimbursed, I think they should have a budget. I don't think it needs to be that much. Planning legal. He's good about hitting the bogey, isn't he? Since that's getting reimbursed.
This is,
80/20.45.
yeah, this is reimbursed through,
Right, but still,
From
but still what's expended is lower than expected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I don't think I would go, I mean, are we even in the heat yet?
Yeah, I don't think. we're
I mean,
gonna
this,
go
I think we're just barely scraping.
Everyone's suing everyone.
Okay, what's the expected on? Are you
I
looking
was
at right
gonna
now?
figure that out.
8 divided by 7 times 12, it's gonna be about 12 and change, 13.
$15,061.
We'll leave it at 15. Storm drainage contractual.
Minimum of 35.
Refuse and garbage contractual. That's not changed.
We're not changing, are
No.
we? We're gonna be happy with them forever based on the last change.
Yep.
Are never changing.
Nope.
Landfill brush maintenance.
Landfill brush maintenance.
Grinding.
It's still it should be 7,200. Even though it says 1,200, because they did 2 years worth this past brush maintenance, which is why it's so high.
So back to 74.
Yeah, back to 72.
The rest is based off of everything above us.
What was the beautification contractual? What is that?
That's money in, money in.
That's funny.
But it's from RCCD, it's just,
Mhm.
is that
Like
like
I
the
said,
grant that you showed them?
It
Or
comes
is
from-
that-
No, I literally just sent in the receipts and they
It comes
give us-
from, is that from room tax, flowers beautification?
Oh, okay.
Right, I think it comes through room tax or something back through the county. It's just something that they give us money for.
That's good.
Can we talk
that's a
about
zero.
the sidewalk ban?
No.
Okay.
State return, EMS state retirement.
Oh,
You got that.
No, it was, hospital medical was the one that was weird, that we had talked about,
Mhm.
unless you're just starting.
Right.
Right. We'll get there.
That's what I was confused.
What did we decide for landfill brush?
7,200.
Same. Yeah, so.
Hospital and medical, that is health insurance.
Mhm.
That's the addition of.
EMS, hospital, medical. What's changed in staffing on the EMS hospital medical side?
What has changed?
From last year to this year? I mean, I get the other one is police, but what about,
Tony was added as a family.
oh no, wait a minute, back up. So police has its own hospital and medical line.
Yes.
What has changed in staffing on A9060.8?
I'm gonna guess portions of Jared and Morgan, who are both single plans and distributed accordingly. Did anything else?
Well, wait,
General, no, that's
Do you
police.
have, we have police in there twice?
I might have.
That's my
I
guess.
apologize. Let me refigure that one.
Yeah, that's definitely.
That would be
sorry,
about- That would
Yeah.
be close.
I
would
must
guess
have added police line.
You just broke them out and didn't break them out.
Okay, so-
Is it 60.8?
Yeah, 60.8 includes a jump, which is approximately the same as the police jump. Not exactly, but it's close. All right, so we'll get that fixed for the next
Hang
meeting.
on, yes. Sorry.
Okay, health insurance is expensive, expensive. Main Street bond goes
You
away.
said Morgan, who else? You said Jared?
Mhm.
Who's Jared?
DPW.
Oh, sorry.
So we
You're
have
a subway guy.
Very different, very fundamental.
I guess they should have, we always talk about additional people. I don't know if I think so through.
So we traded the Main Street bond for the sidewalk ban. Now we can talk sidewalk ban.
Okay. We have our final from Fisher, which is about a little over $4,000, which will leave us a balance of about $70,000 in the checking account, which is from the band. We can only use that money to pay back debt. So
On the sidewalk.
on the sidewalk. So this year, can we use the 53,000 from that account, and then next year we'll use the balance?
So we have how much left?
About $70,000.
And that is a band specifically earmarked to Safe Routes to School?
Nope.
Or any sidewalk?
Any sidewalk. But it was specifically for that,
I understand, that's my
Yeah.
point. So that
but it,
part of the Safe Routes to School grant program.
Yes.
So we borrowed for the completion of it.
mhm,
My question, and this is a Mary question.
Yep.
Is that money only usable for either Safe Routes to School or South Street? Or is it usable for any village sidewalk?
yep, okay, I'll explain that, I get what you're saying.
If it's only usable for Safe Routes to School and or South Street, which is the same thing, it is the same project,
Right,
then we should spend some of it this year on this number. If it's usable for any village sidewalk, then we have to have a conversation.
okay,
Because
'Cause
there's Main Street.
Because 70 plus 140 is 210, now we're starting to get into some real money.
Where's the 140?
Lifting.
It has to be, I'm positive it has to be used on this project.
Safe Routes to School.
It does, it has to be. It does.
Really long title, federal to DOT.
Yep,
project.
but I think,
Be my guess, but I
but
don't
because
know.
it's being a separate money, but I think in the band, it said a
Doesn't matter.
specific,
Project
area.
funding, the project funding was Safe Routes to School.
Right.
Okay, check that,
I will,
because that's very interesting.
yes, okay.
Fire truck, yeah, this good stuff. That's for 2 fire trucks.
Yes,
Okay.
and the first fire truck only has 3 more units on it. Right, that's not-
Backhoe
We're
lease,
gonna say that every time.
is that still the same number, or is that?
There's a pretty new fire truck at the firehouse.
I know that Dusty and I talked about this, and I think that he thinks it's 0, and I think it's 12,000. So.
0 would be better.
Well,
No, I'm thinking, I think he thinks that we only have to pay for 2 years. And I don't think that's correct. I think we have to pay.
there are 2 things, we do only pay every other year,
Right.
so we just got one, so we would not have to pay it in 18. And then he also talked about 1920. And then he's also talked about not doing this program anymore.
Okay, so that's 2 separate conversations. So are we for
Right.
sure not liable for a payment in 1920?
Yes, but we still, if we're going to continue the program, we want to put the money away because it'll be, it's a payment on the following.
It'll be for 2 years.
It'll be for 2 years. That's my point, is that
Second.
even though, and we paid if he continues with the program, we're putting the 12,000 away, it should actually go to reserves to be paid next year.
But wouldn't we just,
In-
wouldn't we make a budget line for it next year?
Yes.
Right, because we,
But it would be for twice the money.
Why?
Because I think that's the way the lease reads. You only pay every other, but it's
It's 24. not 12.
24,000, not 12.
But we just paid 12. Did we pay 12 the year before?
No,
No,
we only paid 12. We didn't pay anything the year before, we budgeted 6 for it.
oh, okay, so it's 12,000 in total, so
6 a year.
so it's 6 a year that I'm gonna do.
Is it possible to do 6 a year and pay it, break it up over?
No, Cat won't do every year anymore.
No, but I mean, we can pay them, on either side of our budget year ending. Do they have to have one payment?
Yes.
So confirm that.
Required.
Confirm that we're not on the hook for 12,000 in 1920.
Okay.
And that's a separate issue as to whether to continue the program or not, but.
Right.
Lease interest fire truck. Which truck is that?
Both of them.
Okay. Okay, reserves. We're gonna have at it, reserves. DPW equipment.
I may actually have to work these lines.
Okay.
We bought a lot of things this year and I need to figure out, you know, over years, the payback periods and stuff, so. For now, keep it at 55. But I don't have the equipment list to figure out how I'm gonna get back there.
Okay.
The building reserve for DPW could actually be 0 this year, but they don't have, money, but mainly because they don't have anything planned, but anything major, they only have $40,000 in there. So we can keep the $5,000 in there, huh?
We were insured, so if it was damage, it would be covered.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see anything to be used for the DPW building reserve. However, if we want a new shelving or something, that's where it comes from. So I can leave that 0, I think, for this year. If we have to.
I'm gonna set it to 0 for a moment. Fire apparatus, is that now 140?
Mhm.
Textilization,
We talked about bumping that up.
yeah, we'll have to talk about that.
Yeah.
Police vehicle reserve, Joe wants to put 26 in there?
Yep.
May not happen.
20, holy.
We're gonna have a conversation about that.
Wow, we haven't been putting anything in the village building reserve, huh?
Nope.
That's probably not a good idea.
Nope.
Okay, how much money is in that reserve?
75,000, nice, you know, for the village office,
Should we make that 10?
yeah.
Confusion.
Sidewalk reserve, what's in that account?
10,000.
I mean, what's in that?
That's what's in the account.
Oh, is it?
Oh, you have that?
10.
Oh, because
Thank you.
last year was the first year we contributed.
It looks like it, or we had zeroed it out before.
Yeah.
We have 10,362.
I think we should think about zeroing that out. If we're really, I mean, unless, that's discussion to have, unless we think we're gonna build sidewalk reserves to a point over the next, I mean, think about that. It costs $1 million to put in any substantial amount of sidewalk. It's gonna take us, 100 years at 10,000 a year.
What can we do with the volunteer group, assuming they continue at pace, which is an assumption that I feel somewhat bad about making, but just for the sake of argument, how much can they put in and how much does it cost?
I mean, they did the section on Wig from south, basically from south down to the middle school. That was a fairly long run. I don't remember what that cost in terms of materials. It wasn't a lot.
That's why we took out the 10.
Yeah, you say they got a lot, but then
Roughly
you got
that
all,
number.
Right.
DPW time is,
Well, sure.
you say it's community build, those community builders are all in their 70s, guys.
Well, they may be.
But is-
They may be an advantage. Looking for a foothold, and we won't get yelled at.
I'd say we should leave it in for now, and maybe have Deb can put that one in blue. And
you can come back, but I think, the sidewalks in the building are so bad. I mean, anything we can do to do any little piece of it.
I'm gonna tell you right now, anything you put in blue is probably
It's probably what?
coming out
Oh, well.
when you find out what the rate's gonna be.
Unfortunately, and depressing.
Somehow I knew that.
EMS equipment. Fire radio, EMS vehicle.
So what was the final decision on the sidewalks?
I'm gonna leave it there for now.
Okay.
We're gonna race it, hovering over it. EMS communication, EMS cap. What's this EMS capital reserve?
That is
That's
to build the
building.
new,
I think we should take that. Wait a minute. EMS capital reserve, what's in that account now?
$5,000. We contributed one time.
And we're thinking that's gonna make a dent in the building issue?
I think that's more, a sort of piece of the negotiations with the town as far as the way the budget is played out in practice. But yeah, that was the idea, was that we would build it year over year and the number would increase, sort of, the 5 and 15 won't matter, but depending on how long we belabor that discussion.
And that's out of the EMS budget, which was approved.
Mhm.
That may need to change. I know we don't like to do that. but- And the EMS maintenance agreements, that's for,
Those are all settled because we've signed those agreements, the long-term agreements with Stryker.
Zoll. And the fire equipment reserve, what is that?
that's a new one.
Yeah, I see that. That's
That's
separate,
new last
separate from the apparatus reserve,
Mm-hmm.
and this is for what equipment specifically?
I
Remind.
don't remember, I wanna say this was like for turn out here.
I was
No, we
thinking it
don't.
was like a trailer, but
Put a blue check next to that too.
The utility vehicle reserve, that's for the chief's truck.
And there is a budget line for turnout gear.
Right. And I don't know. I remember talking about this, but now I don't remember.
yeah, I have notes somewhere.
Do you want me to ask Jason?
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
so we don't need to talk budget on Monday, but they are coming on the 25th, various representatives.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have any rough numbers right now?
Oh, they're rough for sure.
Yeah, they sure.
How rough are they?
I have, 2
In
million,
what sense, like?
700.
I want to know the variance.
2763788.
That's not what she's looking for. She's looking for the real bad news.
Oh, I'm
It
sorry.
doesn't matter. That's what I-
So last year we used $108,000 of unencumbered balance.
Just bring it down.
If we use that same amount of unencumbered balance, which we can,
I thought our,
Annually? I thought we
no,
were
I don't know.
down.
I think our reserves are down, aren't they?
our unencumbered balances at the end of May 2018 was $497,475.
Wait, really?
That's per Dwayne 2 days ago.
That
That's not.
makes me feel way, way better.
No, because if we use 108 like we did last year, we are still at a $1.1 million levy, which is a 3.5% change to the levy, which gives us a number isn't right. A $1.1 million levy is 18% increase in the levy. It gives us a tax rate of 8.25%, up from 7 to 10.
Holy shit,
So,
that's a 300, I'm just trying to, on my tax bill, what that means.
so sharpen your erasers.
Red pen. It's just a red pen season.
I got one.
It is a red pen season. The only thing on the revenue side that I can see us getting any movement out of is if Tompkins County thinks that sales tax is going to be as good next year, which seems like a big assumption.
Yeah, that's
And then if we can bump some more money out of the belly, we gotta get that
But
number.
that, I mean, even if we squeak that,
No, it's not gonna help that much, but it'll help some.
yeah,
We need that, if you wanna, when we get the MedX numbers, we need that EMS number to be around 100. We need to get something out of reserves, we need sales tax to hold, and then we'll have to use more unencumbered balance than I would really like to. Especially considering we're gonna be over on some lines this year.
right,
And maybe we'll be under enough elsewhere
somewhat
to soften
kind
it.
of. So I feel like this is a good time to notice, I'd like to add a budget line for trees. Right, can we talk about that now? I just felt like the timing was so good that I couldn't.
$31 a month.
So,
That's not so bad, we could like that.
what's up?
Nothing, little kids running up the stairs. Can't see them.
I will say it did sound like a small person.
There's kids.
It's not the first time this has happened,
Who's
but
that?
we probably shouldn't talk about this on streaming live.
If there's ghosts in the building, can we?
All right, so,
It's really, oh,
There's our
So
revenue.
I think as we present this, we also have to make very clear the net impact of the state's decisions here. You know that that's a direct result of what we're seeing is coming out of uncontrollable circumstance.
Mhm.
Again.
Right.
Just putting it out there, we need to.
But that's why I let off with this lovely hit piece. We have only one choice, unless or until the village-wide assessment goes up a lot.
Well, when I,
Like a lot,
Yeah.
without somehow also costing us in, you
Right.
know, the way
Well,
we
that-
provide services.
Yeah, I mean, the village-wide assessment basically has to go up 15 to 20% to really make a difference. And that can't happen in home valuations, otherwise we're still paying more as property. How that happens, who knows? Or we start deciding which department we don't want anymore. You make the argument that we need them all, so it becomes a question of what need do we not want to meet.
well, you want me to read through my blue, there weren't very many, like blue lines.
Yeah, no, I think we should wait in the interest of time, and we need the executive session. I think we should wait till the 25th. Let Joe and others who are coming in to justify their spend, have us talk them down a little bit if possible,
Right.
or take their spend and spread it out over a few years.
Our ammunition or our sort of like backup for those discussions just changed substantially.
I think we need to, if we're gonna maintain the services, I think we need to have a serious look at extending replacement cycles. You know, maybe,
That's exactly where I was for reserves, and we don't need a 5-year replacement cycle. We'll go to 7.
I think 5 has to go to 7, 10 has to go to 12, 20 might have to go to 23 or 24. I mean, we're pushing it a little bit, but
And the investors jumped from 8 to 12 already.
May have to be a thing. Okay, anything else on budget, other than ouch?
Yeah, I haven't looked at water and sewer
We have
close
50
enough,
bucks.
but they're gonna go up
Figure it
to,
out.
just with the addition of the personnel, they have to go. I
That's-
might have
think
enough in reserves.
Don't we have a fair bit of unencumbered balance?
We have a pretty decent, tax stabilization account.
I think Dwayne indicated that we might have a decent unencumbered balance in at least water, I don't know about sewer.
If we do, that would be fabulous.
We actually have a pretty significant balance just in sewer checking. That we
Well,
never
that I'm
had.
not surprised. We have the $43,000 payment's gotta come out of there pretty shortly, right? To the New York State Parks.
So we'll talk to department heads on the 25th and we'll do water and sewer.
Yeah.
And then we'll red line in March.
And I'll be ready for it.
Anything else?
Are these descriptions our own? And I guess really my number one question is there a way to have a better sense of what's kind of in them other than?
Business comptroller.
So New York State.
The comptroller line items.
Yeah, well,
So-
having them spelled correctly.
Yes.
No, but
So the trick is if
Every
we spell
year.
things out more clearly in the budget, then it has to also correspond to actual spending. So like the
no,
finer.
that's fine. I'm mostly thinking for myself, like, I'm
Right.
gonna go back.
So there's, right, so there's a book,
I have
OSC, yeah, and you can probably get it right on the OSC website, like a PDF.
Yeah.
It will give you a lot of the language, Ben, that would probably be helpful, but
Yeah.
if there's something we can do to help, of course, we
Right.
we're happy
Vicky, do you have a digital version of what we just went through?
Yeah.
Are you making notes as you go along?
Yes, I do that, and then I'll transfer it to the Dropbox, and then the Dropbox is a folder that says 1920
One of the
budget.
things we didn't
I
actually
know,
touch
tomorrow
on
will
was
be till Monday.
wastewater water and doing anything about it.
I saw chicken scratched all over this one.
Yes, no, it'll get updated in the Dropbox
Kathy,
every day,
Is this in the Dropbox?
2 or 3 times a day.
we'll have that in the list, on the list for the 25th.
Which is very
Put
good.
on the list for the 25th. We've got, various department heads or whoever asking for money from Jeff County. We gotta talk stormwater.
Okay.
We're gonna talk, on the water and sewer budgets. And then replacement cycle.
I think that's a good approach for some of it, the replacement cycle. I was actually thinking the same thing. That's why I wanted to rework the spreadsheet on the equipment and things, see what to cut.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss
So,
proposed or pending or current or possible or maybe future litigation.
so moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
This is my least favorite time of the meeting.
It's all, go ahead, speak freely.
Wait,
No,
Ben.
he's,
Thank you. Right, listen.